Hello, Nevada County. I'm Mary Jane, a fellow citizen of Nevada County and Nevada County Now's political correspondent. Today, I'm going to talk about trash. And not just any trash, but the kind that stinks up the kitchen, the absolute worst if not dealt with in a timely manner. The organics, the food waste, the stuff that if you farm or garden, you may refer to as the compost, or sometimes, as in our house, table scraps for the chickens. This type of trash is so significant to our Nevada County this year that I'll be devoting my next two pieces to the issue. One reason that driving past Harris Ranch coming home from SoCal via I-5 and opening an especially ripe garbage can are both such stimulating experiences for our nose is because decomposing organic waste, like cows, produces methane, which is a greenhouse gas. This methane-producing decomposition continues from trash pickup day as your trash makes its way to the local transfer station, then its final destination, which for Nevada County is the landfill in Lockwood, Nevada, near Reno. If one household trash bin stinks like that, imagine the methane emissions from landfills like the one in Lockwood, where the organic waste from millions of trash bins ends up decomposing. Methane falls into the greenhouse gas category of short-lived climate pollutants, or SLCPs. SLCPs are harmful to people, ecosystems, and agricultural productivity, not to mention a major contributor to global warming. Food waste alone accounts for about 17 to 18% of total landfill disposal, so no wonder methane emissions from landfills have been identified as a significant contributor to SLCPs in the atmosphere. Addressing this issue has been a focus of state leadership for a while now, even as the government has changed hands. In 2005, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger issued Executive Order S305, establishing ambitious greenhouse gas emissions targets for the state. Governor Schwarzenegger followed that EO up with AB 32, the California Global Warming Solutions Act of 2006, signing it into law in 2005. In 2011, Governor Jerry Brown signed AB 341 into law, which aimed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by diverting waste from landfills and to reach California's recycling goal of 75% by 2020. In 2014, also under Governor Brown, AB 1826 established mandatory organic waste recycling for businesses. Further, the law defined organic waste, because stinky stuff isn't specific enough, as food waste, green waste, landscape and pruning waste, non-hazardous food waste, and food-soiled paper waste that is mixed in with food waste. With these legal foundations in place, in January 2015, Governor Jerry Brown re-emphasized the bigger picture of these laws with Executive Order B1315, which established a target to reduce greenhouse gas emissions 40% below 1990 levels by 2030. It's a shorter-term stepping stone toward the ultimate 2050 goal of Governor Schwarzenegger's 2006 EO, which established the goal of emissions being 80% below 1990 levels by 2050. Coming into more recent history here, I'm getting to the point, I promise, because this really does impact our community. In September 2016, Governor Brown signed into law SB 1383, which established specifically methane emissions reduction targets in various sectors of California's economy, including livestock and, relevant to today's discussion, landfills. Contrary to AB 1826, SB 1383 is for everyone, statewide, not just businesses, and it expands the organic waste reduction and diversion goals. SB 1383 grants state agency CalRecycle the authority to oversee the waste reduction and diversion part of the law. From the 2016 signing, CalRecycle is overseeing an effort to achieve a 75% reduction of the level of statewide disposal of organic waste by 2025, along with a goal of recovering at least 20% of currently disposed edible human food for human consumption by 2025. That's a percentage food recovery target by 2025, not that the recovered food needs to be consumed by 2025. To reduce the methane emissions from organic waste disposed of in California's landfills and our assigned landfills like the one in Lockwood, Nevada, CalRecycle aims to increase food waste prevention efforts. There are two main goals here. The first is to encourage the rescue of edible food from waste, and two, to expand the composting and in-vessel digestion of organic waste throughout the state. Each of these aims has its own benefits on top of helping reduce methane emissions. Edible food rescue, which aims to divert edible food to food banks and pantries, benefits Californians who are unable to secure adequate healthy food. Composting benefits water conservation, soil health, and carbon sequestration efforts. When it's done in vessel, the methane produced in the anaerobic digestion process can be captured and used for good, not evil. It can be used to create renewable energy and carbon-negative transportation fuels rather than going into the atmosphere and causing problems. Then the digest state, which is essentially the slurry of liquids and solids left over, is great to add to soil to grow food. And without the methane, it smells a lot better than it did before the anaerobic digestion process happened. Some of you may be thinking, wait, doesn't Nevada County do all that already? And actually, yes, we do quite a bit. We're ahead of the game here in many ways. We have a robust edible food recovery program. Local food providing businesses donate extra food to the Nevada County Food Bank and Interfaith Food Ministry, and even directly to other nonprofits. A lot of local restaurants donate uneaten food to local farmers who compost it. Many individual households, which are now considered waste producers under SB 1383, are already enthusiastic composters and may even have beautiful gardens to show for it. I have a friend who lovingly receives horse manure from various sources and composts it with her other organic waste and has the most amazing in-ground garden. So, how do we actually need to respond to this new law? At the January 26th meeting of Grass Valley City Council, Marshall Graham and Alex Souza from CalRecycle delivered a detailed slideshow about SB 1383, including the reminder that statewide enforcement of the law will begin January 1st, 2022. While there are exemptions to the law based on community size and altitude, not all areas in Nevada County are considered rural or high enough to be exempt. Truckee is exempt due to its altitude, and Nevada City reportedly has the option to exempt itself due to its small population. The town of Washington and the San Juan Ridge may also be exempt. Grass Valley, at least within its city limits, must comply, and Nevada County is currently assessing which areas throughout the county will also need to comply. No financial resources are available to assist local jurisdictions, that is, counties and cities, in implementing the law. One question that council members had for the CalRecycle team during the presentation was, what about our local food waste diversion programs? If a jurisdiction would already have a robust food recovery program, they'd likely be exempt from needing to take further measures to divert organic waste. However, as much as our community does, we do not have a, quote, robust program that by SB 1383 standards could be considered robust. Several months ago, Nevada County Solid and Hazardous Waste Commission created an organic and food waste subcommittee consisting of a county supervisor and city council members, along with informed community stakeholders focused on environmental sustainability and feeding the community, such as Briar Patch and Sierra Harvest. This subcommittee meets monthly and is focused on identifying local means to comply with SB 1383. One of the tasks for the committee is to determine who is doing what already and substantiate it. It's spread out, so there's a lot to do. Then, on top of what exists, what are the options to expand what we're doing in order to comply? What are the technologies available? And what are other small towns doing? And hey, what would it look like to recover organic waste locally? I spoke with Grass Valley City Council member Tom Ivey, whom the mayor appointed to focus on the issue. As a part of this appointment, Ivey sits on the Organic and Food Waste Subcommittee. While he is disappointed about the law's quick timeline and lack of resources, because like I said, CalRecycle is not actually providing funding to the communities, he sees a significant upside. As a community, we import a lot of compost for our local farms, gardens, and our cannabis industry. This law encourages us to identify ways to replace an import with a local product and create local jobs. While CalRecycle isn't providing SB 1383 implementation money specifically, they are providing potential opportunities for communities to get creative with partnerships through grants, loans, and education. I visited the grant section on the calrecycle.org website, and sure enough, one of the advertised grant categories is, quote, to promote infrastructure development for recycling manufacturing, composting, and anaerobic digestion facilities in California that divert more materials from landfills and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Grant funds also available for food rescue and food waste prevention projects that benefit disadvantaged communities. In the loan section, one of the advertised loans is, quote, to promote in-state development of infrastructure to process California-generated organics and other recyclable materials into new value-add products. In other words, this could be a pretty sweet business opportunity for someone. Councilmember Ivy suggested that if we were to recover our organic waste locally and turn it into the good stuff, a nonprofit or private company would be a welcome partner, and he and other community leaders are ready to help make the startup process as smooth as possible. Another partnership Ivy mentioned was the county and city contracts with waste management. Ultimately, as they are in the business of hauling our trash from our homes and businesses to where it needs to go, they are essential here. I spoke with Shivati Karki Pearl, Public Sector Manager at Waste Management, to talk about how Nevada County is doing and how that organization will be partnering with Nevada County to conform to SB 1383, from big grocery stores down to individual residents. Waste Management is working with the local jurisdictions to figure out how to create the infrastructure that will allow us to comply with SB 1383 to come up with the programs that will deal in the best way with our organic waste. Let's talk about the transfer station for a moment. It's unclear at the moment whether the two little remote transfer stations serving the town of Washington and the San Juan Bridge will be affected, so I'm going to focus on McCourtney. The McCourtney Road Transfer Station is operated by the county and is also used by the cities for its waste diversion programs, such as the partnership with Waste Management, as well as businesses like contractors and people like my husband and me who enjoy the satisfaction of borrowing a friend's trailer and going on a good dump run. So traditionally, when Waste Management picks up trash and recycling, those big natural gas powered trucks take it to and dump it at the transfer station, and then a third party will take it somewhere else, where depends on the material. Trash goes to that landfill in Lockwood, near Reno, as I mentioned in the last program. Recycling goes to Sacramento Recovery. Yard waste goes to Green Solutions in Lincoln, where it's made into landscaping materials, which is pretty cool. And e-waste and hazardous waste go to various other locations. There's no food waste processing center nearby. And I should mention, McCourtney Road Transfer Station currently doesn't have what's called a dedicated tipping floor for the organic food waste, which is where the organic food waste would need to be dumped in order to be allowed even to receive it to hold for pickup at our transfer station. The entire facility is preparing for a major renovation for a lot of other reasons, and has included in its plans a facility to help the county comply with the SB 1383 requirements. The existing public receiving area at the transfer station is destined to become the organics dumping area, where it can legally await pickup to be taken somewhere, locally, far away. I don't know. If we do get a local organic waste recovery facility, it will likely take years to bring it to a permitted utility. In the meantime, Waste Management is researching opportunities for pickup at the transfer station once the compliant facility is built, which is currently projected to be in about 18 months. Read more about this very neat project at mccourtneytransferstation.com. In the meantime, as we need to be compliant by January 1st, 2022, Waste Management is preparing for the possibility that it will need to pick up and drive our food waste directly to other counties where there are facilities that are permitted to handle it. They are currently evaluating the options, including which ones will take our food waste, how much volume they'll accept, how much it will cost, and so on. We will have a program in time, but fair warning here, it will be required unless you have a waiver, and it may be expensive. Note that Waste Management's current trucks are not made to pick up and then haul waste over a long distance. So, how about that waiver? SB 1383 does allow for waivers, meaning we wouldn't be required to sign up for service if we can prove that we are dealing with our own food waste, doing what's called self-diverting, composting it, feeding to our chickens, generally using it for good and not sending it to the landfill. I can't say much more about the waivers though, like who can get one and how, simply because the local jurisdictions, the city and county, still need to create the ordinance that will be our local SB 1383 implementation and enforcement guidelines. They are drafting it to put in place this year, well in advance of the January 2022 implementation. This ordinance will also be like a blueprint for Waste Management to follow in its partnerships with the city and county in helping us implement SB 1383. I should note here that the general sentiment is that SB 1383 is made for bigger cities. Infrastructure is likely already to be in place there, and the organic waste recovery facilities are likely closer. Going back to Councilmember Ivy's comment about the short implementation timeline, per CalRecycle, the state is short the organic waste recovery facilities of what is necessary to implement the law fully statewide. We have about 180 compost facilities, only 34 of which accept food waste, and it will take 50 to 100 new facilities to divert the additional 20 to 25 million tons of organic waste annually as required. There's a lot up in the air around SB 1383 right now, and in this short space of time, I've probably created more questions than I've answered. I'll be following this issue, and later in 2021, I'll talk to Nevada County Solid Waste Division for an update. I'll also check in with Ms. Karki Pearl to see how Waste Management's plans are shaping up, and what our community can expect in terms of specific changes. The takeaway is that our actions under SB 1383 will help us as a community and as individuals help California address the impacts of SLCPs like methane on human health and the environment, especially in California's most at-risk communities. To educate yourself on the nitty-gritty of SB 1383, your best bet would be calrecycle.ca.gov. You can also stay informed about our local response and implementation by checking in with our Solid and Hazardous Waste Commission at mynevadacounty.com. Meetings are in April and October and are open to the public. If you have a specific question about politics that you'd like me to try my best to answer, please email ncnpolitics@gmail.com. It was my privilege to bring you a brief political piece today. See you again in 2 weeks, same time, same place. With spring coming up and warm weather yo-yoing its way back into being, I'll be discussing our local trail system.